Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome back. Got my fancy tie on today. All right, new lesson, new joke. Let's start with this one. Why did the bike fall over? Because it was too tired. Okay, let's get on it today. So today we're starting a new topic, and we're going to be talking about trig functions. Okay, we're going to keep this one nice and short, because hopefully you guys remember a little bit about these trig functions. And we're going to start with recalling what some of our graphs look like, because these are going to be very, very helpful in this topic. So let's take a look here. We want to remember what y equals sine x looks like. Now, what I'll do here is I'll draw it a little bit like this. And because most of us are familiar between 0 and pi, it peaks out at 1 and -1. Unless we change the amplitude and stuff, and it's going to keep going this way. Okay, and it's going to look a little bit like that. Now, cosine is going to look very similar, but this time I'm going to start at 1, and I'm going to peak at -1. It's going to look a little bit like this. Okay, it's going to look like this, and it's going to go all the way back up to the top, and we're going to complete it this way as well. Doing my best here, and that should be cosine. And then for tan x is the weird one. It kind of looks a little bit like this, and we've got some asymptotes here. So it's going to look again a little bit like this. Got another asymptote up there and that. Okay, and on this side here, it's going to do the same thing. Going to have an asymptote here. It's going to be the same thing kind of around here. Asymptote here, and it's going to be just like that. Cool. So that is your sine, cos, and tan graphs. Those are helpful for you to know. And now I'm also going to talk a little bit about small angle approximations. Okay, because we want to see what happens when the radians are really small, or the angle that we're talking about is really small. And again, we're going to start talking about these in terms of radians now, because we're venturing off into calculus and trig, which we need to use radians. So with that in mind, let's take a look here. Now, they say here that if x, or your radians, or your angle amount is tiny, it's small, then approximately you're going to have sine x is going to equal to x, cos x is going to roughly equal to 1, tan x is roughly going to equal to x. So kind of what it's saying here is, and it makes sense here that sine x would be, if x is a little bit, then sine will be a little bit, or like your x and your y will be a little bit. But with cosine starts at 1. If we go back here, we can see cosine starts at 1. So it makes sense that if it's a little angle, it'll probably be close to approximately 1. If I start at sine, it'll be approximately kind of small. Same deal with tan, very, very similar. So if it's a small amount, that's kind of what we're expecting. So very, very simply, if I had sine equals, or sine of 1 degrees, now remember, we're talking about radians now. So let's just work with this anyway. Let's use a nice color. So if I had sine of 1, this would be, so basically sine, hold on, maybe I should answer these questions before, but it makes sense here that if sine x is approximately the same as x, then sine x on x would equal to 1. And the same thing would be for tan. That's just another kind of logical thing that makes sense. It's just you see it semi-often, so I thought I'd show it to you guys. Okay, so now for the actual questions. They may incorporate any type of trig, and all you need to know is if the angle is small or tiny, kind of 1 or less, we can apply this kind of concept. So sine 1 degrees is going to equal to roughly 1, right? And it's going to be degrees as well, because that's kind of the x, and they're supposed to roughly equal the same thing. So let me write this down here. Okay, so it equals to, maybe I'll write it here. It equals to approximately 1 degrees. And to answer in radians, that's just going to be pi over 180. I think. Yeah, it's 1 degrees. Exactly right. So that's just me writing it in radians. And then if we've got this one, we've got cos 1 degrees. We know it's roughly going to equal to 1. That's it. And that means it's roughly going to equal to pi. because pi is 180 degrees. And last one, tan is very similar to sine. That means it's going to equal to roughly 1 degrees, which is the same as that many radians, pi on 180 radians. All right, that's it. Hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next lesson. All right, bye.